guys, thanks for coming. As we do, just review champions from the Tulane game on defense. Yeah, Tyler Friday graded out of the champion. Kendall Sheffield, Isaiah Pryor, and Jordan Fuller. Player of the game was Dante Booker. It was great to see him. He had 3 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 2 assists. And then a bunch of honorable mentions just because we played so many people, especially the second half was a lot of guys. On offense, you had the entire offensive line again, which is essential. You had Isaiah, Michael Jordan, Thayer Munford, Demetrius Knox, and Malcolm. Luke Farrell graded out a champion. J.K. Dobbins graded out a champion. And a handful of receivers. You had K.J. Hill playing at high level. Terry McLaurin, Johnny Dixon, Austin Mack, and Ben Victors. His last 2 games have been really, really good. Dwayne Haskins, 21 of 24 for 304 yards in the first half. And then the player of the game was Paris Campbell, 8 receptions for 147 yards, 2 touchdowns. Played well. Our punter was Drew Chrisman, who, by the way, is a great young man. Had a really good day. I guess only punted twice, but he's been real solid throughout. Obviously, a huge game this week, and Nick Bosa still is not ready. It's going to be a few more weeks, but we expect him back. And then B.B. Landers will play this week, so that's good news. So I'll answer any questions for you.
We'll open it up. Middle, back, Patrick.
Irvin, you talked after the game about getting the rushing production up, and I know you've harped on balance. In a game like this coming up, how important is that, and what do you guys do to get that balance back to where you want it?
Well, teams are still defending us a lot of single coverage. That's what Tulane did, and we're at the point where we can, execute the passing game pretty high. So it's a lot of how they, after watching the videotape, the offense line pretty well. But then there's a safety hitting you for a 4 or 5 yard gain, and then when that happens, they're leaving you up for single coverage. So a lot of it's how they determine to play us.
If you are throwing the way that you guys have been, is it okay if it's a little bit less balanced than it has been in the past?
Yeah, that's. I think everybody knows my feeling on that. Be balanced as you can, but there's times where, the dual threat quarterback, you equate numbers. The throwing quarterback, you throw to equate numbers. So that's the difference.
Front row left, Mitch.
Irvin, Dwayne's getting a lot of attention and will continue to get a lot of attention with the primetime game this week. Can you talk about the qualities that you see in this kid that gives you confidence that he can stay focused on what he's got to do and not be distracted by?
I called him Saturday night. I was driving home and after the game, and I called him just with that message: just stay focused. And we've had some pretty high-profile guys around here, and I've seen it. I've seen it. Go both ways. Where one thing about Columbus, Ohio is, this is the show, and they become bigger than life, and we got to really. But he's a very humble guy. He's a very conscientious guy. He comes from a great family, so he's been great so far.
Front row middle, Dave.
Urban, Brian Snead didn't make the trip for the TCU game. I believe he was not even on the sideline for this past game. Can you give an update on what's going on with Brian Snead?
Just the violation of rules, team rules that we're monitoring.
Do you expect it? Will he make the trip for Penn State?
We don't know yet.
Okay, and one more real quick. Mike Weber, will he play this week?
I just saw him this week. Yeah, he'll play this week.
Thank you.
Second row right, Rob.
Urban, there's a report came out over the weekend, Ryan Day coaching waiting. I don't know if you know about that. Gene kind of shot it down in a sense. What are your general thoughts on that whole concept of a coaching waiting? It doesn't work.
I haven't given any thought to it. Brian's an exceptional coach, but I haven't given any thought to that.
Front row right, Austin.
Urban, this sounds kind of crazy given the way your offense has worked since you've been here and the running backs you have, but have you been completely satisfied with the way you guys have run the ball over the last couple of weeks?
When you watch the film, it's like I said, I think it's not the same. It's very different offense right now. One was a run first, pass second. This is a do what they give you. So it's very different. I don't think we've ever had a team average over 300 yards passing a game either. So it's different. But the one thing that Ryan and Kevin have done is utilize the skill set we have of the offensive personnel.
the way it's changed, did you always envision that you might be able to do this offensively? Do you like this sort of?
Sure.
Feels like
When
a
it works.
philosophy change.
Yeah, once again, you don't go out and recruit just cookie-cutter players. You're going to go out and recruit the best player you can. And when we recruited Dwayne, he had a very good skill set, and so it's our job as coaches to adapt. And I think we have over the years pretty good. You know, and we had Alex Smith, and he had a unique skill set. We had Cardell Jones, who was a different player than JT. Then you had JT and T-Bows, and so you had Braxton Miller. So we've tried to have a very good offensive coaches, obviously, and they take what people can do and do what they do best.
Front row left, Bill.
Urban, this I guess falls along the lines of what others have asked you, but do you have to run the ball any differently without the read option that you had with JT?
Completely different.
How so? What's changed for you guys in the calls you have to make?
Well, it's not double option football anymore, and that was double. The double options are sometimes you'll see it looks like a called pass, but that's a run where we're reading a second level defender. So it's completely different.
Did you have to put in any new running concepts this year, knowing
Sure.
that you were facing that? Like, can you give me an idea of just how much of a change is it? Like, how much new is in this offense?
It's significant. I mean, that's you just where a guy like Tate, now you can go. He's a little bit more the JT Barrett package, and Dwayne's not. So it's all about equating numbers. Like I said, you equate numbers a handful of different ways, and in the pro style traditional guy like Dwayne, you equate it by throwing. In spread style football, you equate it with the Q, the added element of a Q run.
And I know you mentioned this is a little different the way you guys are operating on offense. I'm wondering if you've heard any feedback from quarterbacks you're recruiting about how that position is performing for you guys. I know you're kind of locked up for the next two classes, but down the road, have you heard anything different about?
Very positive. A lot of them want to do what we're doing right now.
Second row left, Ari.
Urban, you have some players or a good portion of your roster that's pretty big on faith, and there's an organization called Athletes in Action that I think you've had fundraisers for at your home. What do those fundraisers do, and how important is it to you to support that organization so that your players could have more opportunities?
Well, I've always been a huge fan of Athletes in Action. That is its headquarters is not too far from here, about 45 minutes away, and we've had two gentlemen named Jim Schmidtke and Tom Rohde that are incredible. And faith's a big part of this program. Obviously, we don't make anything mandatory, but our guys have been awesome with that. And we had to have fundraisers every year, I think now, 7 years. And that was a big part when we came here, that we wanted to make sure our players have access, and whatever they need, the answer is yes.
There's a few players that you've been recruiting that are very complex in just kind of the way that they view the world. And I was wondering, when they are in a situation where they're trying to get a perfect score in an ACT or is very smart in faith, do you think Ohio State puts, with all these different programs that you have, you put yourself in a position to beat out a school like Stanford because you have so many different options between Real Life Wednesdays, and it's not always so much just about the classes and the rank of a school as much as it is about the opportunities? See what I'm getting at? Do you feel like that's kind of what you guys have done to put yourself on that level?
I couldn't ask it better. Thanks for asking that question. Some of the questions I've had it's a good one. We were ranked number one academic athletic school in America. I can't remember, just recently. And that's a credit to, obviously, the administration of Ohio State over the last 30 years, 25 years of making it elite. One of our goals when we came here in 2012 was to be the most comprehensive A through Z. And that really started when my daughter got recruited, about just making sure that when this athletic gig's over, you have life after the sport. And I had a really vision of what it should be, and we've blown it away. It's Columbus, Ohio. The opportunities here and the people here and the networking that happens. I mean, I can't imagine anything better than that for a young person to get.
One follow-up that's completely
Sure.
unrelated, sorry.
We'll talk all day. You guys are done.
You guys good with that? With Nick Bosa, you guys have to be careful, obviously, with him, because whenever somebody has a surgery in the middle of the season, is the recovery process different? Is it more delicate to handle when the person that's injured could be the first overall pick in the NFL draft? Do you have to have different types of discussions with
Sure.
that person's family, and how do you guys handle that with Nick?
We've already had those conversations a little bit, but that's down the road when he becomes healthy again. You can't ask for a better family and people, and I don't want to paraphrase John and Cheryl Bosa, but as they said, we trusted our children to this program, and we will continue to do so, and so those conversations will be had, but absolutely. And then not that you treat anybody different than another player. I want to make sure that's clear. But, that's a real conversation that we're going to have.
Second row right, Tony.
Urban, the box score had 0 tackles for the starting linebackers this past week. What goes through your mind when you hear
0
that?
tackles.
So what goes through your mind when you hear that?
I did not know that. That's a question to ask to Coach John of them, and I know they didn't play that much probably, but I don't. That's interesting, because I know Malik's playing at a very high level. Do we not have any champions there?
You've been champion the last 2 weeks, but not this week.
Okay. That's a great question. I don't have an answer for that.
I'm sorry, front row right, Tim.
Yeah, Urban, when you look at Penn State defensively, what do you see that's different from a year ago? They seem to be filling in some holes and had some troubles to a certain extent, but what are you noticing about their defense?
Troubles?
Yeah.
I don't
Well, I
see-
meant, they've given up a few yards to a few people and things like that. But
I see a very good team. I see a Penn State, that's all we really got to say in this across the country. You see Penn State football players, very, very good, very well coached.
And Trace McSorley, when I say that name, what jumps to your mind?
A winner, a guy that can do it all, and a competitor.
And one last thing for me, like you talked a while ago when Ari asked you about Nick Bosa, have you gotten the impression that he wants to come back and play as this season
sure.
goes along? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's told you that. I mean,
Yes.
what's the conversation been like, I guess?
Well, that's between me and Nick and the family, but to answer your question, yes.
Third row right, left, Dan.
Urban, this game has ultimately decided who won the Big Ten each of the last 2 years. Does that play into your motivation this week at all in terms of emphasizing how important this game
No,
is?
because there's so much football afterwards, but this is a big game on the road. So our focus is just on the most prepared team winning this game and working real hard.
What is it about going to Penn State that makes it such a difficult place to play, maybe in comparison to some other environments?
Yeah, that's one of the tops in the country. Very loud, and the fans are into it, a lot like our horseshoe. So you got to be ready for that kind of environment.
Front row left, Doug.
Urban, this is going back a couple games, but in the opener against Oregon State, Isaiah Prince made a tackle after Dwayne threw the interception, and I just thought that was, I don't know, a big lineman like that running to make a tackle. Just Isaiah's progress through his career, and maybe can a play like that ever show you anything
Sure.
about a guy?
Yep. He is one of the most improved players we've ever had here. One of the most improved players I've ever been around. His leadership is incredible. He's, used to be kind of a guy on the outside, and now he's on the inside. As a matter of fact, he's right in the middle of everything, and I can't be more proud, and his family should be very proud too.
And this in college football these days, you guys did it with JT when Braxton got hurt. You played JT Barrett as a redshirt freshman quarterback. There's a lot of teams that sometimes you have to play young quarterbacks. Sometimes teams want to play young quarterbacks. Dwayne getting to watch for 2 years and now being this ready, it seems like in year 3. Would he have been ready earlier if you guys had needed him, or was there something, do you think the Dwayne we've seen is in part because he had those 2 years to practice and learn and not have to do it?
I think it's the relationship with their position coach. It's a little bit like Cardell and Tom Herman and JT and Tom, and then JT and his development with Tim Beck, and then obviously Ryan Day. And I can see that with I think he wasn't ready as a true freshman. And last year he was getting closer and closer, but you didn't see it. You saw him throw the ball nice, but that's 1/3 of playing quarterback. It's a toughness and leaderships, and so. I just think it's the maturation of a gifted player.
Front row right, Bill.
You were asked this a little bit before about the Penn State environment. When you guys go on the road, a lot of times it's not very hostile because you have so many fans there. How different is Penn State? And related to that, in past years you've had established leaders, JT, Billy Price, all those guys. How big a challenge is it going to be for Dwayne and other inexperienced players to handle that atmosphere?
Well, we have some established guys, and it's unique. It's 3 receivers, and it's a right tackle. Those are. I put Michael Jordan in that category now too. On defense, you're still trying to establish some leadership. You know, Draymond Jones has been one of our leaders, and Tough Borland, obviously. So, I mean, it's essential. You don't win that game without good leadership.
What makes Happy Valley different? What is different about that atmosphere than you see anywhere else?
It's just a difficult place. You know, it's certainly one of the top 5 stadiums to play in, hard to play in. I mean, very loud, and the fans are into it, and very good environment, great environment.
Far left, Lori.
Coach, when you have a lot of different things that are working offensively, how does one decide what to run in a crucial situation, like 4th down, game on the line? Do you have a page in your playbook that you're like, that's where I go to?
That's what those guys are doing right now. When you sit in those meetings, and by Wednesday, Thursday, you have that on it. You don't have that now because every defense is different, and who's the hot hand, who's healthy, who do you run behind, who do you throw behind, who do you throw to. That's all what goes on here for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
On sort of a related note, you talked about the process you go through of making sure that you get the ball to different players. When you've got so many different playmakers, is that process of deciding who gets touches easier or harder?
No, it's much easier. It's having good players is much easier than having just 1 or 2. And we still do that, trying to get the ball to certain players, but it's, yeah, you like to have a lot of choices.
4th row left, Colin.
When you see the defensive line has approached an offense or seen an offense that has had a dual threat quarterback in the last couple games for you guys, is there a different mentality the defensive line needs to have when you face the quarterback with kind of a dual threat option?
Completely different. You know, last week was more of a wishbone style triple option. This is going to be a true spread quarterback. And, you know, our defenses were, this is, you know, JT was this kind of quarterback. So it's much different mindset, and you got to make sure you always account for him.
When you have 2 proven runners, both at quarterback and running back, I mean, especially in the second level of the defense, if they get past that defensive line, what should, I guess, the second level be looking for in that?
Get him down. I mean, that's a big part of this defense is, you know, you're playing with 11 and a half guys when you're playing with a quarterback that can run. And that's one of the advantages. You know, we've had a lot of yards around here over the last years and years and years because of having that ability to do that. So that's a real threat, and that's something that you have to game plan for.
These are the last 2 individuals, far left, Matt.
What we're seeing with this offense, and you mentioned when you have a talented quarterback like Dwayne, you play his strengths. How much of his success, though, it seems like a perfect marriage in this, where you have this quarterback that has this skill set and this veteran receiver group that has been coming together. Is how much of what we're seeing with the passing offense has to do with that combination?
Yeah, throwing the ball, and I think everyone knows this. I hate to, you know, I'm not preaching to you, but it's, you know, the quarterback is a production of the offensive line. They've done a very good job protecting Dwayne this year. It's also, other than TCU, we get our hands on a ball, we usually catch it, and they've been very good at that. So it's cumulative effort, and Dwayne to be the first one to admit it, but you know, having veteran receivers that have a skill set, as everybody can see it on display when we play.
And real quick, Dwayne's demeanor, we've got a snapshot of it. He seems like a real even-keeled kid. Is like JT was more, you know.
Right.
What is the difference like?
It used to be uneven keeled. Now we've pushed it to even, and we're trying to keep pushing it. And he has done a great job. He is a wonderful guy.
And final question over here to the right, Taylor.
Urban, obviously, you know, Penn State's got a little bit different personnel than they had last year. I mean, losing a game changer like Saquon Barkley and even a guy at tight end like Mike Gesicki. But just what stands out to you about Penn State's roster maybe this year? Because, I mean, they seem to be...
Offense line's better, and that running back's really good. You know, a big dude that our guys think he's... I haven't started. I watched him later in the week. But tight end's a very good player. So we don't see much difference at all. Schemes very similar to what they've done in the past, and you know, obviously the quarterback's the guy that makes it go.
And then obviously, you know, just from 2 years ago, your guys' personnel is a lot different. But how much have you guys been preaching what happened at Happy Valley maybe 2 years ago to maybe some of the younger guys and telling them about how tough it is?
That'll come later in the week. This is all about Monday's their day off, getting rest. They come in and you know, maybe look at a little film on their own. But we're not even having that conversation. I'll see how practice goes, and that's a Wednesday, Thursday conversation that maybe Mick usually have.
Coach, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.